Good morning, you wonderful people. This is a great honor to be able to be here. I thank you for the presentation I'm about to submit. It's given to me by the word of our Father in heaven, and I will share with you today. We're going to pick up the story. We're going to go back a little bit. We're going to work on 19, but we're going to go back a little bit. It's the Exodus of the Israelites. As they say, they continued the journey in the wilderness. We stopped to talk about some of the lessons that God may have been teaching the Israelites, and the lessons that God may be doing in us when the desert experiences. He protected the Israelites and protects us from the danger from facing challenges that we aren't ready for. He prepares us for the future challenges. He reveals our own simple hearts to us and shows us how much we need to have Him in our lives. The desert is a place where God teaches us to love Him for Himself, and not only just for what comforts He might give us. Next, we stop to look at the Word of God. That is very much related to the work that God does in our desert experiences. I'm sure we've all experienced some things that feel like we were in the desert. You would agree, I'm sure. As we learn to love God for who He is, we learn to be grateful to Him. We look at scriptures to tell us what we are thankful to, what we are to be thankful for, and where we should be thankful, when we should be thankful, and how we can be thankful in spite of the difficult circumstances. I think we all know the story well enough to know that the Israelites weren't very quick learners. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, with that being said, God has revealed your own heart condition to you, and now that we know more like the Israelites than we want to admit it. We learned back, paraphrasing the back of chapter 16, we have the Israelites grumbling and blaming Moses and thinking that because of the pots of meat and bread they had there with Pharaoh, we have been better off back in Egypt, they were all saying, Kind of a bad outlook if you ask me. They kind of felt like they ran into the shur. What the shur is biblically, if you look at the shur, it actually is the wall. It's like they ran into a wall. So I never knew that. And I did some research on it. I thought that was pretty interesting to know that a shur is a wall. Who would have thought? We use that word in everyday language. Shur. Well, does that mean we're running into a wall? Does that mean it's okay? Well, that's all in God's decision. God responds by sending them bread from heaven, which we all get bread from heaven. And when the dew had gone up, their faces were on the wilderness to find the flake-like thing, fine as frost on the ground. When the people of Israel saw it, they said to one another, "What is this?" For they did not know what it was. And Moses said to them, "It is the bread that the Lord has given you to eat." They gathered some more, some less, but then they measured it with an omer. Whoever gathered much had nothing left over, and whoever gathered little had no lack. Each of them gathered as much as they could eat. But Moses said to them, again, here we go, they weren't very good learners. "I let no one leave any of it till morning." But they did not listen to Moses. Some left part of it till morning, and it bred maggots and stench, and Moses was very angry with them. Well, in the morning they gathered it as much as they could eat. But then the sun grew hot and it melted. Again, I think we need to listen to God. He's pretty serious when He says what He's going to say. Okay, on the sixth day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers each. And when all the leaders' congregation came and told Moses, he said to them, "This is what the Lord has commanded. Tomorrow is a day of solemn rest and holy Sabbath to the Lord. Bake what you will bake, boil what you will boil, and all that is left over lay aside to keep till morning." So they laid it aside till morning, and Moses commanded them, and it did not stink. For then again, God had commanded it was okay. And there were no maggots in it. Moses said, "Eat it today, for today is a Sabbath to the Lord, and today you will not find it in the field. 6 days you should gather it, but on the seventh day, which is a Sabbath, there will be none." Jesus taught His disciples to pray, "Give us this day our daily bread," and through this it tells us we are to trust God for any day at any time. Someone has calculated that it would have taken about 9 million pounds of bread a day to feed 2 million people. That's quite a bit of people, That's a lot of bread. So one of the lower estimates how many people left Egypt. The most common symbolism here is that Jesus will refer to himself as the bread of life. And we need to on a daily basis. Okay, we go ahead and we cover, Pastor Mark went ahead and discussed chapter 19, Exodus. I'm going to kind of paraphrase a little bit. You do know the mountain of Sinai, the burned spot on the mountain still exists today. That is a holy mountain, and that's left burned because God wants you to acknowledge the fact that what he did with Moses was real, and people need to learn to listen to his word. So as we go through chapter 19, we find that Moses, and the Israelites would prevail. Moses' arms, he was moving with Moses, and he had his hands in the air, and he wanted to hold the rod, for the water, because what we found is that the people, the Israelites, they were like, where's the water? Why don't we have any water? So it comes to part where Moses was ordered to stand with the rod of God's rod in his hand. As long as Moses held his hand with the rod, the Israelites would prevail. Moses' arms grew tired, and when he lowered his hands, he prevailed. Amalek prevailed. So Aaron, I kind of lost words here. And stood on each side and held his hands until the sun went down, and Joshua and his men won the battle. This is a picture of the importance of prayer in our daily spiritual battle. I think it also illustrates the importance of holding each other up. Would you agree? I know I would. Hold each other up in prayer. The documentations of Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, coming to see Moses, bringing Moses' wife Zipporah, and two sons, Gershom, which means sojourner, and Eleazar, which means helper or comforter. Moses tells Jethro about how God delivered from the Egypt in verses 10 through 11. And Jethro's response, he says, "Blessed be the Lord who rescued you from the hand of the Egyptians and from the hand of Pharaoh, and who rescued the people from under the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know the Lord is greater than all the gods. Indeed, it was proven when they acted insolently against the people." While Jethro is there, observes Moses sitting from morning until evening acting as judge, listening to all the different charges that the people bring against each other. Jethro tells Moses that he will wear out if he continues doing that, and advises him to train other people. Okay, you got to have a team to succeed. That's basically what they're saying here. Moses listened to Jethro, and going forward, only the most difficult cases were brought to Moses. In chapter 19, God leads that Israel forward to the place near Mount Sinai. Thus, chapter leads up to God giving Moses the 10 Commandments as a such powerful demonstration of the power and the holiness of God that I thought would be good if we read it together. On the first day of the third month after the Israelites left Egypt, that very day, they came to the desert of Sinai. After they set out from Rephidim, they entered the desert of Sinai, and Israel camped there in the desert in front of the mountain. Then Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain and said, "This is what we are to say to the descendants of Jacob, and what are to tell the people of Israel. Yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt, and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then all of the nations you will be treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be of my kingdom, or for me in kingdom of priests and holy nations. These are the words you are to speak to the Israelites." So Moses went back and summoned the elders of the people, and set before them all the words the Lord had commanded him to speak. The people all responded together, "We will do everything the Lord has said." So Moses brought the answer back to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, "I am going to come in a dense cloud," which we talked previously about Mount Sinai, "so that the people will hear me speaking with you and will always put their trust in you." Then Moses told the Lord what the people had said. And the Lord said to Moses, "Go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow. Have them wash their clothes and be ready the third day. Because of that, the Lord will come down to Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. Put limits for the people around the mountain and tell them, be careful that you do not approach the mountain or touch of it, as we spoke earlier. For those who touch the mountain shall be put to death. They will be stoned or shot with arrows. Not a hand should be laid on them. No person or animal should be permitted to live. Only when the ram's horn Long blasphemy, they approached the mountain. After Moses had gone down the mountain to the people, he consecrated them and washed their clothes. Then he said to the people, prepare yourselves for the third day. Abstain from sexual relations on the morning of the third. There will be a thunder and lightning with a thick cloud over the mountain and very loud trumpet blast. Everyone in the camp trembled. I mean, have you ever experienced anything that made you tremble and gave you fear? Can you imagine the power of the Lord tremble in a mountain? That's phenomenal, if you ask me. Well, then Moses led the people out of the camp with God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Mount Sinai was covered with smoke because the Lord descended it on fire. The smoke billowed up from it like smoke from a furnace, and the whole mountain trembled violently, he said. As the sound of the trumpet grew louder and louder, Moses spoke, and with the voice of God answered him. The Lord descended to the top of the Mount Sinai, and called Moses to the top of the mountain. So Moses went up 21 to the Lord, said to him, go down and warn the people so they do not force their way through to see the Lord, or many of them will perish. Even the priests who approach the Lord must consecrate themselves, or the Lord will break out against them. Moses said to the Lord, the people cannot come up Mount Sinai, because yourself has warned us. The limits around the mountain and set it apart as holy. The Lord replied, go down and bring up Aaron with you, but the priests and the people must not force their way through to come up to the Lord, or he will break out against them. So Moses went down to the people and told them. And in chapter 20, God speaks the 10 Commandments to Moses, and that's what I'm sure that we'll pick up next week. Is that correct? Okay. I think it is important to see the power of the deity of God, for we must take God serious, because he speaks the truth, and we need to listen and follow his word. And that's my message for today.
Ah.